A reason that I became an actor, and I stayed an actor and tried to be a human being. And I know that Stuart feels the same way about him. That's what we have in common. And that's really the basic reason why I'm here. Now, one of the things that kind of really breaks my heart in a way is when, after I've done something in the theater particularly, or when I'm along the road and I meet somebody like Jeff, and I'm not making any judgment at all, I'm just saying that the fact is, someone will come to me and say, hey man, I wanted to be an actor, when I was a boy or a girl, and I kind of gave it up. I wanted some security, or I wanted a family, or I didn't have any nurturement, didn't have any encouragement. And my family or my friends, my community didn't support me. It was very unusual. Anybody in our group that wanted to do this thing, however you could define it. And I didn't do it, and I kind of turned away. And what can you say about that? What can you say to me? Can you offer any kind of any advice to me in that regard? What do I do now? I'm married. My Jeff has 4 children now, and I'm working as you're a professional, right? You're a
heating and air and refrigeration
and so forth. He's a professional guy. He has to make a living. He's supporting his family. He's still a young guy, and he has this thing that we have, but he's not doing this thing that we do. He's not in college. He didn't study in the university, theater workshop, or anything of that nature. And now, this voice, this calling, this thing that all of us have been listening to for a very long time, and almost we take for granted, don't we? We show up here. Why? Because of this voice that calls us. It is a personal thing, and I go to it again and again and again. It is deeply personal. If it is not, it's impersonal, and nobody cares. Don't waste your time. But it's personal, and it had better be, if you're going to go somewhere with it. For yourself, okay? So what do you do now? I've never really approached this, ever in a public forum about this. So I'm grateful to you and for your courage in doing this. Because I find it very difficult to offer any kind of advice or to say anything. And yet I know that if one does not heed that voice and does not follow that spirit, you will not know yourself in the way that you are meant to know yourself.
My biggest fear is the fact that if I don't, in my 60s or in my later life, I'll never know. I'll have that regret.
So part of that journey has brought him here to this day, at this time, and the courage that this young guy has had. One, to come up and talk to this lunatic myself about this lunacy that we do. And to come here, and I asked him if he would come, and I said that I would do something of this nature.
I'm taking a long lunch today.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to let you go after you do whatever it is you want to do. Please set it up and tell us a little bit about yourself.
This is a scene from The Breakfast Club. It's a scene when they're all telling each other why.
What's the name of that show again? I'm not familiar with that.
And it's they're all confiding in each other as to why they're there, and it's the real serious part of the movie where they're all getting to see each other in a light that they've never ever seen each other in before. They all looked at each other the same way the teacher had. One was a jock, one was a hood, one was a brain, one was an outcast, and one was a princess. I'm going to be doing the role of Emilio. He was a wrestler, and he was more pushed into it by what his father wanted him to do than by what he actually wanted to do himself. And this comes out in this scene. Well, we're all pretty bizarre. I mean, some of us are just better at hiding it. How am I bizarre? You want to know what I did to get in here today? I taped Lester Ford's buns together. You know him? Well, then you know how hairy he is too, don't you? And when they pulled that tape off, a lot of that hair came off, some skin too. And the bizarre thing is I did it for my old man. I wanted to make him think I was cool. I mean, he's always going off about how he used to cut loose when he was a kid and getting on me that I never do stuff like that. So after practice, I was in the locker room and I'm thinking about this, and I look up and I see Lester standing there, and he's skinny, weak. And I started thinking about my dad's opinion on weakness. And the next thing I knew, I was on top of him. And I was just pounding on him. And my friends just laughed and cheered me on. And now I think about him having to go home and tell his dad what happened. I mean, the humiliation. The fucking humiliation. How do you apologize for something like that? You can't. Sometimes my dad gets on me and he's like, Andrew, you gotta win! I won't tolerate any losers in this family! Your intensity's for shit! Win! Win! God, I hate him. Sometimes I wish that my knee would give out and I wouldn't be able to wrestle anymore. And then he could just forget all about me.
It's supposed to.
When is that scholarship going to be?
I was planning on looking into that.
What do you say, Stuart? This young lady asked about the scholarship and my father. What do you say to that? Would he qualify?
I can't see why not.
What do you say to that?
Wow.
What are you going to do with your life now?